Namaskar. A warm welcome to World News and Indian Perspective on Akashvani. This is Saira Mujtaba, bringing glimpses of the major developments of the day from across the globe. Over the next half an hour, we shall bring you the latest from the world of politics, economy, sports, entertainment and more. The headlines. India slams Canada for allowing celebration of former Prime Minister Indira Gandhi's assassination. Says space given to separatists and extremists not good for relationship with India. President of India Draupadi Murmu urges business leaders of Serbia to take advantage of large potential for trade and investment between the two nations. India to launch Chandrayaan-3 mission by July, says ISRO Chairman S. Somnath. Reserve Bank of India allows bank to issue RuPay prepaid forex cards. Top Biden administration official hails new era of trust between India and the US ahead of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit. About 15 killed in blast at the funeral of assassinated governor in northern Afghanistan. Canadian wildfire smoke spreads across swaths of United States, flight operations affected. And in sports, Australia were all out for 469 in the first innings against India at World Test Championship final in Oval. And in French Open tennis, Japan's Mia Kato and Germany's Tim Putz win mixed doubles titles. And now the news in detail. India has slammed Canada over the celebration of assassination of former Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. During an interaction with media in New Delhi on Thursday, External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar said, space given to separatists, extremists and people who advocate violence in Canada is not good for its relationship with India. He said it is not good for Canada either. The minister said New Delhi is unable to understand, other than the requirements of vote bank politics, why anybody would do this.
The bigger issue involved is really the space that Canada has continuously, and frankly we are at a loss to understand, other than the requirements of vote bank politics, why anybody would do this. Because if you look at their history, you would imagine that they learn by the history and they wouldn't like to repeat their history. So it isn't only one incident, however egregious it may be. I think there is a larger underlying issue about the space which is given to separatists, to extremists, to people who advocate violence. And I think it's not good for the relationship, and I think it's not good for Canada.
Responding to a media query about the fate of nearly 700 Indian students who are probably going to face deportation next week by the Canadian government, Dr. Jaishankar said that it is unfair on the part of the Canadian authorities to punish the students who undertook their education in good faith. He said the Foreign Ministry and the Indian High Commission in Canada have taken up this issue. He said if these students have done no wrong, then the Indian government will try to press the Canadian government to find a solution to the issue.
I think the Canadians also accept that it would be unfair if a student has done no wrong. I don't know if all the cases are the same. There is a granularity about it which, sitting at this distance, neither you or I can judge. If a student has done no wrong, they accept the idea that, they have to find some solution for it. So we will continue to press, and I would very much hope that the Canadian system is fair in that regard.
The External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar on Thursday met displaced families from Afghanistan as part of a mega public outreach campaign, Sampark Se Samarthan, in New Delhi, and inquired about their well-being. Dr. Jaishankar also sought to know about the next decision and how the Government of India can support them. Later speaking to media, he said that the government is with the displaced families and favourable decisions will be taken for them under better conditions. The minister said that many people want to return and also want to keep their passports. Dr. Jaishankar said that the government wants to find a better solution in this matter. President of India Draupadi Murmu has urged business leaders of Serbia to take advantage of large potential for trade and investment between the two nations. Briefing joint press conference with her counterpart Alexander Vucic after the conclusion delegation level talks at Belgrade, the president said that relations between India and Serbia have been unique since the days of the non-aligned movement and are based on mutual trust, mutual understanding and support for each other on issues of core interest.
India and Serbia have had close and friendly relations since the days of non-aligned movement. It is now time to build on this and strengthen our trade and economic partnership. We have seen significant success in auto and auto component sector, healthcare, pharmaceuticals and biotechnology, renewable energy, textiles and apparel, space, information technology, telecom, fintech and financial services. The digital capability of India continues to grow. All major Indian cities have IT parks and electronic cities. This rapid growth in digital infrastructure has put India at the forefront in terms of technological innovation.
President Murmu also said that Serbia can be an effective gateway for Indian companies to access the border markets of Europe.
Serbia can become an effective gateway for Indian companies to access border markets in Europe and Eurasia. All of this indicates the large potential for India-Serbia trade and investment. You are therefore in a moment of opportunity, and we must take advantage of it. We must strengthen our old bridges and also build new ones.
President of Serbia, Mr. Vučić, promised simplification of the issue of visa to Indians. He also explored starting direct flights between the two countries to promote tourism and have greater business engagement. After the media briefing, both the presidents addressed high-level business delegations of both the countries. President Murmu urged the business leaders to take advantage of the large potential for trade and investment between the two nations. Indian Space Research Organisation, or ISRO chairman S. Somnath, has informed that Chandrayaan-3 mission that will attempt to place rover on the surface of the moon will be accomplished by mid-July. He was addressing media persons in Bengaluru on Thursday on the sidelines of an international conference on spacecraft mission operations. The ISRO chairman has said that the orbiter, lander, rover and propulsion module are undergoing tests and will be integrated with the LVM-3 launch vehicle. The LVM-3 rocket will be ready by this month end, and assembling Chandrayaan-3 to the rocket will be done by the beginning of July. The launch is planned by mid-July. Prime Minister Modi had a telephonic conversation on Thursday with Crown Prince and Prime Minister of Saudi Arabia, Prince Mohammed bin Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud. The leaders reviewed a number of issues of bilateral cooperation and exchanged views on various multilateral and global issues of mutual interest. Mr. Modi thanked Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman for Saudi Arabia's excellent support during evacuation of Indian nationals from Sudan via Jeddah in April this year. He also conveyed his best wishes for the upcoming Hajj pilgrimage. Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman conveyed his full support to India's initiatives as part of its ongoing G20 presidency, and that he looks forward to his visit to India. India has conducted the successful flight test of new generation ballistic missile Agni Prime off the Orissa coast. The missile was flight tested by Defence Research and Development Organisation (DRDO) from Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam Island off the coast of Orissa on Wednesday. It has a range of 2,000 kilometers. The Defence Ministry said all objectives were successfully demonstrated during the flight test, and this was the first pre-induction night launch conducted by the users after 3 successful developmental trials of the missile, paving the way for the induction of the system into the armed forces. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh has congratulated DRDO and the armed forces for the success as well as the copybook performance of Agni Prime. The first edition of India, France and UAE Maritime Partnership Exercise commenced on Wednesday in the Gulf of Oman. India's Defence Ministry said INS Tarkash and French ship Sukhov, both with integral helicopters, French Rafale aircraft and UAE Navy Maritime Patrol aircraft are participating in the exercise. The exercise will witness a wide spectrum of naval operations such as surface warfare, involving tactical firing and drills for missile engagements on surface targets, helicopter cross-deck landing operations, advanced air defense exercise, and boarding operations. The maiden exercise aims to enhance trilateral cooperation between the 3 navies and pave the way for adopting measures towards addressing traditional and non-traditional threats in the maritime environment. In order to expand payment options for Indians travelling abroad, India's central bank has decided to allow issuance of RuPay prepaid forex cards by banks in the country for use at ATMs, POS machines and online merchant overseas. The Reserve Bank of India Governor Shaktikant Das announced some additional measures after informing decisions of Monetary Policy Committee on Thursday. Mr. Das informed that the scope and reach of e-RuPay vouchers are proposed to expand by permitting non-banking prepaid payment instruments issuers to issue e-RuPay vouchers. It will enable to issue e-RuPay vouchers on behalf of individuals and simplify the process. He said the RBI has decided to issue guidelines on default loss guarantee arrangements in digital lending to further promote responsible innovation and prudent risk management. The regulatory framework of digital lending was issued in August and September 2022. He said that the guidelines will further facilitate orderly development of the digital lending ecosystem and enhance credit penetration in the economy. And in today's Hotspot section, we bring you a news commentary on India-Suriname relations.
President Draupadi Murmu has been presented with the highest civilian award of Suriname, the Grand Order of the Chain of Yellow Star. The award was presented to her by President Chandrika Prasad Santokhi during her visit to Suriname. Mrs. Murmu was invited to the South American country as a chief guest to commemorate the 150th anniversary of the arrival of Indians in Suriname. In her acceptance speech, President Murmu expressed her deep appreciation for this prestigious recognition, not only for herself but also for the 1.4 billion Indians whom she represents. She conveyed her heartfelt gratitude to the government of Suriname, highlighting the significance of this award as a symbol of the enduring bond of cooperation between the two nations. During her visit, President Murmu engaged in delegation-level talks with her Surinamese counterpart, where she acknowledged the diversity of Suriname, similar to India, where people of different castes, languages and religions coexist in harmony. She emphasized the deep historical and cultural ties that form the foundation of the multifaceted and modern partnership between India and Suriname. President Murmu was delighted to learn that Hindi is widely spoken in Suriname, evoking a sense of connection to her motherland. Recognizing the untapped potential of bilateral trade between the two countries, President Murmu emphasized the need for collaborative efforts to expand trade for mutual benefit. To strengthen cooperation, 3 Memoranda of Understanding (MOU) were signed, 2 in the field of health and 1 in agriculture. The signing of MOU in the health sector will open the doors for Indian pharmaceutical industries in the Suriname market, fostering further cooperation in the health sector. The Ministry of External Affairs highlighted the Indian government's measures to strengthen ties, including extending the Overseas Citizen of India (OCI) facility to the 5th and 6th generation of persons of Indian origin in Suriname, fulfilling a long-standing demand of the Indian diaspora in the country. She emphasized that the OCI card serves as a vital link in their 150-year-old relationship with India, urging the Indian diaspora to continue nurturing their connections with their ancestral land. Additionally, India also announced the supply of essential medicines worth 5.1 crore rupees to aid Suriname in its flood relief efforts. President Murmu presented a consignment of medicines to President Santokhi during a ceremony at the Presidential Palace. President Murmu's visit also included visits to significant cultural landmarks such as the Lala Rukh Museum, Arya Devakar Mandir and Sri Vishnu Temple. She paid her respects at the monument of Gewalin held in 1902 and attended a community reception for the Indian diaspora in Suriname. Together with President Santokhi, she witnessed a cultural festival commemorating the 150 years of Indians' arrival in Suriname. Addressing the audience, President Murmu emphasized the historical importance of this milestone in Suriname's history. It marked the beginning of a new chapter when the first group of Indians arrived in Suriname aboard the ship Lala Rukh on this day in 1873. She commended Suriname as a multicultural society and a land of opportunities that warmly welcomed diverse communities, which eventually evolved into one family and one country. President Murmu praised the people of Suriname for their dedication to unity and inclusiveness. President Murmu expressed her joy in observing the deep connection the Indian diaspora in Suriname maintains with their roots despite the geographical distances, time zones and cultural diversity. She acknowledged the Indian community's integral role in Surinamese society and as a crucial pillar in strengthening the partnership between India and Suriname. President Murmu reflected on the shared experiences of both Suriname and India in rebuilding their economies and social systems after prolonged periods of colonial rule. These experiences have fostered a sense of solidarity between the two nations, and their bilateral relations are rooted in shared aspirations for development. As President Draupadi Murmu's visit to Suriname comes to a close, the lasting impact of this commemorative occasion and the strengthened bonds between India and Suriname will undoubtedly pave the way for enhanced cooperation and mutual growth in the years to come.
In some more news, the World AI Show, one of the most anticipated global events in the field of artificial intelligence or AI, commenced on Wednesday in Dubai. The show attracted leading experts, industry giants and tech enthusiasts from around the world. The show provided a platform for showcasing groundbreaking innovations and exploring the immense potential of AI to transform various sectors. The event, held at the Emirates Towers at Jumeirah, is attended by renowned AI researchers, innovators, companies and industry leaders. Among the handful of Indians who showcased the AI technologies was the Ali Raza Group, who bootstrapped with Mudra loans. One of the major highlights of the World AI Show was the unveiling of cutting-edge AI technologies and solutions by prominent companies. This is Akashvani giving you the world news. Welcome back. U.S. President Joe Biden's top official for the Indo-Pacific region, Kurt Campbell, has said that the degree of trust and confidence developed between India and the U.S. was not present a decade ago. Speaking on Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to the U.S. from the 21st to the 24th of this month, Mr. Campbell said that this visit will consecrate the India-U.S. relationship as the most important bilateral relationship for the U.S. on the global stage. He added that the visit will open up more avenues for both investment and people-to-people linkages. He said that the world is recognizing the critical role that India is playing on the global stage, and it is not just strategic. Prime Minister Modi will be the first Prime Minister to address the joint meeting of the U.S. Congress for the second time during his upcoming official state visit to the United States. In Afghanistan, at least 15 people were killed and 50 injured in a blast during a funeral service for an acting provincial governor at Nabawi Mosque in Faizabad on Thursday. According to Tulu News, Provincial Governor Nisar Ahmad Ahmadi was assassinated by a suicide bomber on the 6th of June when a car drove that was filled with explosives into his vehicle. Ahmadi's driver was also killed and 6 others were injured in the attack. Islamic State claimed the responsibility for the killing. Former President of Afghanistan, Hamid Karzai, condemned the killing, calling it an act of terrorism, and expressed sympathy for the affected families. He said that the attack is against human and Islamic standards. A team of 6 yoga practitioners from Bangladesh are taking part in the International Yoga Festival 2023 in Kathmandu, Nepal, between the 8th and 10th of June 2023. They are attending the 2nd Mount Everest International Yoga Championship and the 3rd South Asian Yoga Sports Championship in Kathmandu. The 8 countries of South Asia, including India, Bangladesh, Nepal, Bhutan, Pakistan, Afghanistan, Sri Lanka and the Maldives, are participating in these 2 international yoga sports competitions. The International Yoga Championship is being organized by Nepal Yoga and Nature Cure Association. In US, millions are breathing hazardous air as smoke from Canadian wildfires cross borders. The thick haze has also affected flight operations. The Air Quality Index, a US Environmental Protection Agency metric for air pollution, exceeded a staggering 400 at times in Syracuse, New York City and Pennsylvania's Lehigh Valley. A level of 50 or under is considered good and anything over 300 is considered hazardous. Canadian officials asked other countries for additional help, fighting more than 400 blazes nationwide. that have already displaced over 120,000 people. Massive tons of unhealthy air extended as far as North Carolina and Indiana, affecting millions of people. A report.
Due to the hazardous air quality, even healthy people have been advised to curtail outdoor physical activity. Smoke from Canadian wildfires poured into the U.S. East Coast and Midwest, covering the capitals of both nations in an unhealthy haze, holding up flights at major airports, postponing Major League Baseball games, and prompting people to fish out pandemic-era face masks. Schools across the U.S. East Coast have cancelled outdoor activities. Reduced visibility from the haze forced the Federal Aviation Administration to slow air traffic into the New York City area and Philadelphia from elsewhere on the East Coast and Upper Midwest, with flight delays averaging about a half hour. The U.S. National Weather Service issued air quality alerts for virtually the entire Atlantic seaboard. Health officials from Vermont to South Carolina and as far west as Ohio and Kansas warned residents that spending time outdoors could cause respiratory problems due to high levels of fine particulates in the atmosphere. Poor air quality is likely to persist into the weekend, with a developing storm system expected to shift the smoke westward across the Great Lakes and deeper south through the Ohio Valley and into the mid-Atlantic region. This is Manoj Singh Rana for World News.
United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken on Thursday announced nearly $150 million aid for areas in Syria and Iraq that were liberated from the Islamic State extremist group. Mr. Blinken made the announcement at a ministerial conference hosted by Saudi Arabia on combating the Islamic State. He said the $150 million pledge is part of new funding amounting to more than $600 million. The global coalition to defeat ISIS includes more than 80 countries and continues to coordinate action against the terrorist group that once controlled large parts of Syria and Iraq. In France, a Syrian national wounded 4 young children and 2 adults in a knife attack in a park in the Annecy town on Thursday. According to the police, some of the victims were in critical condition. The victims include children as young as 22 months old and 3 years old. A police spokesman said the attacker was a 31-year-old Syrian asylum seeker who carried Swedish identity documents and a Swedish driving license. On to sports now. In cricket, India were 151 for the loss of 5 wickets in their first innings against Australia in the World Test Championship final at the Oval in England when stumps were drawn for day 2. Coming to bat after Australia amassed a huge first innings total of 469 runs, India lost wickets at regular intervals with both the openers, Rohit Sharma and Shubman Gill, returning to the pavilion within 30 runs. Earlier, Australia were all out for 469 in their first innings after resuming the day's play from the overnight score of 327 for 3. Indian bowlers struck at regular intervals today and scalped the remaining 7 wickets by spilling just 142 runs. In French Open tennis, Japanese tennis player Miyu Kato and German tennis player Tim Boots defeated Canadian Bianca Vanessa Andreescu and New Zealand Michael Venus 6-4, 4-6, 10-6 to win the mixed doubles title. In the men's doubles semi-final, American tennis star Austin Krajicek and Croatian Ivan Dodig defeated Spanish player Marcel Granollers and Argentine tennis player Horacio Zeballo 6-3, 7-6 to enter the final. In another semi-final, pair of Joran Willian and Sander Gale of Belgium defeated Andreas Mies of Germany and Matthew Middelkoop of the Netherlands. Dodig and Krajicek will now meet Willian and Gale in the men's doubles finals on 10th of June. Key domestic indices snapped a 4-day winning streak to close with losses at around 0.5% today. A report from the business desk.
Sensex sank by 294 points, or 0.47% to finish at 62,849. The Nifty slipped by 92 points, or 0.49% to end at 18,634. Asian markets ended mixed. China's Shanghai Composite Index gained 0.5%, while Hong Kong's Hang Seng and Singapore's Straits Times Index rose 0.2% each. On the other hand, Japan's Nikkei 225 declined 0.9% and South Korea's Kospi fell 0.2%. European markets were positive positive in intraday trade except London's FTSE 100, which was flat. Oil rose as worries over demand weakness and a global economic slowdown were offset by Saudi Arabia's pledged production cut and a potential pause to US interest rate hikes. In intraday trade, Brent crude was trading at $77.40 a barrel. Back home, gold prices at the multi-commodity exchange for August contracts were trading at around 59,728 rupees per 10 grams. On the other hand, silver was trading at 72,450 rupees per kilogram for July contracts, and in the foreign exchange market, the rupee closed at 82 rupees and 57 paise against the US dollar. Arjun Chaudhary for World News, Akashvani.
And now let's take a look at the major developments around the world as reported in the foreign press. The Wall Street Journal reports, Canada wildfires rage as blazes get bigger across the world. The Guardian writes, Sudan fighting escalates after breakdown in ceasefire talks. Le Monde reports, French pension reform opponents withdraw doomed repeal bill. The Japan Times reports, US takes aim at China over Latin America trade tactics and fentanyl role. Washington Post says, US aid cuts food aid supporting millions of Ethiopians amid charges of massive government theft. South China Morning Post writes, Zelensky visits area flooded by destroyed dam, praises rescue efforts. The Globe and Mail writes, supporters of Hassan Diab urge Canada to reject France's latest extradition request. The Financial Times reports, Eurozone economy shrinks for 2 quarters in a row. The Straits Times reports, world warming at record 0.2 degrees Celsius per decade, scientists warn. The Business Reporter writes, Pakistan has to satisfy IMF on 3 counts, including budget consistent with program objectives. And the Daily Star reports, Bangladesh avoids being red-listed by Saudi Arabia over Hajj visa deadline. And now a quick look at the headlines once again. India slams Canada for allowing celebration of former Prime Minister Indira Gandhi's assassination. Says, space given to separatists and extremists not good for relationship with India. President of India, Draupadi Murmu, urges business leaders of Serbia to take advantage of large potential for trade and investment between the two nations. India to launch a Chandrayaan-3 mission by July, says ISRO Chairman S. Somnath. Reserve Bank of India allows banks to issue RuPay prepaid forex cards. Top Biden administration official hails new era of trust between India and the United States ahead of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit. About 15 killed in blast at the funeral of assassinated governor in northern Afghanistan. Canadian wildfire smoke spreads across swaths of United States, flight operations affected. And in sports, Australia were all out for 469 in their first innings against India at the World Test Championship final in Oval. And in French Open tennis, Japan's Mia Kato and Germany's Tim Putz win mixed doubles title. And now, before we end, let us listen to Mahatma Gandhi's favorite bhajan, Vaishnav Jan, by artists from Netherlands. And with that, we end this bulletin. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow with the next edition of World News.